If you guys haven't already signed up for Ultimate Fan, it is Premier League fantasy football. Comes pack openings, you get given new packs every single week. You can upgrade your subscription to get a better chance of better players. And of course, there is a pack drop this week so that you guys can get your players in time for the next Premier League game week. Link is in the description to download. Also, information about my Invitational League is in the description for you guys to check too. And I'll see you on the game. Let's get into the video. Yes, guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson Football Channel for my thoughts on Frank Lampard being appointed as manager of Everton. I wasn't going to do a video about this one, and then I realised that actually there are some Chelsea fans maybe who watch GBFC who might not be aware of just how important it could have been or could be if Frank Lampard's appointment at Everton goes as smoothly as Everton would have liked and as Frank Lampard would have liked in order of Frank Lampard to try and curate and create his backroom staff at Everton. It's being reported that Joe Edwards, who's been at Chelsea for 18 years, is going to be going and joining Lampard as part of his coaching staff, which means he'll be leaving Chelsea. And there were also talks, which luckily for the Blues, yesterday it was almost like Anthony Barry, who joined us, I think, in 2019. Anthony Barry came in from Wigan. He'd been he'd been coaching at Wigan. And then Chelsea bring him in, having seen Anthony Barry as one of the gold standard coaches in English football. Anthony Barry is Irish, and right now he is balancing both working at Chelsea with a part-time role, helping out with the Republic of Ireland coaching staff. So if Anthony Barry would have left, along with Joe Edwards, to join Lampard, then Chelsea would have been in a bit of a sticky situation because Anthony Barry is a set-piece specialist. Now, not only under Thomas Tuchel, I'm not saying it's all about Anthony Barry and he's a better coach than Tuchel, so therefore we can attribute all of Chelsea's success to that of Anthony Barry. Not what I'm saying. But Anthony Barry is considered one of the best set-piece coaches in English football. So when you look at what Chelsea have done ever since Frank Lampard left, really, where we've scored so many goals from corners, our defenders are scoring so many, we have also been a lot better. I'm not going to say we've been perfect because across the course of the last few months, we've seen that we certainly haven't been perfect, but Chelsea have been much better also at defending set pieces, which was, under Frank Lampard, one of the serious issues that Chelsea had. Now, of course, Frank Lampard wants people within his coaching team now that Jody Morris is no longer by his side. Frank Lampard's going to want people that not only understand his vision, and obviously Joe Edwards, Anthony Barry have worked with him at Chelsea, so it's obvious that Frank Lampard, now at a new club, who need a massive, massive turnaround of fortunes, by the way, it's obvious that Lampard was going to try all he can to bring coaches like Joe Edwards and Anthony Barry alongside him at Everton. I think the news that Anthony Barry is set to stay at Chelsea is something that probably would have gone under the radar in terms of like big Chelsea news. But honestly, it would have been a bit of a problem if Anthony Barry would have left. Not only would Everton have immediately been getting one of the best coaches in the country that Chelsea had but no longer do, but we can also attribute a lot of Chelsea's successes from both attacking and defending set pieces to the presence of Anthony Barry. So, Anthony Barry is set to stay at Chelsea. Joe Edwards is set to join Frank Lampard at Everton. Now that I've discussed why this news isn't all bad for Chelsea and why some of it is good, it is important that I give my opinions on how I feel about Frank Lampard becoming Everton manager. When we look back to Frank Lampard as a player, he was a Chelsea boy. We signed him from West Ham, but still, Frank Lampard's career, there is absolutely nobody in the world that would ever define Lampard's career by anything he did at West Ham over Chelsea or anything he did Man City or even in New York over what he did at Chelsea. Frank Lampard is Chelsea's greatest ever player. He was also our manager, and now he is joining Everton, who are 16th in the Premier League table, in a bit of a desperate place, Everton, right now, because if they would have stuck with Benitez, they would have certainly gone down, in my opinion. It was getting worse and worse week by week. The players weren't playing with the manager or playing for the manager. It looked as though even some of the more senior figures in that Everton dressing room were getting beyond frustrated with what they were being asked to do, the results of the club, and probably also some of the dreadful recruitment of new teammates for some of them that has seen Everton spend such an astronomical sum of money, yet completely and utterly capitulate in terms of what we would have expected them to do as a result of how they spend that money. This is a Chelsea channel, so it isn't my place here to dig deep into the realms of what really is going on at Everton and why they're in such a massive problem. They are in a relegation battle. You look beneath them, Newcastle have made some of the best signings they could have made in this January window. We knew it was going to come eventually. I didn't think they would be so proactive in this January window. They signed Chris Wood, Guimaraes from Lyon, who is a phenomenal player, by the way. You get into most top Premier League teams in the midfield. And it also looks as though today they're going to sign Dan Burn from Brighton, who I actually think is a fantastic centre-half. And for a 15 million fee, these are exactly the kind of players that Newcastle needed to buy in order to avoid relegation. When you bring Newcastle out, which I think they will now, I think Newcastle's business has been so good that they will jump out of these relegation places. Everton are precariously sat in 16th position in the Premier League. So when Newcastle jump out, Everton are one of those teams with the form they're in who are going to be sucked right into this battle. So, do I think Frank Lampard is the right man for this job? I think it could be an immense appointment for Everton if Frank Lampard can get these players playing for him, which I'm not entirely sure he will be able to do because it's not the youngest Everton team. They've got some good young players, but there are also a lot of senior players in there that need to pull their act together that are far better than where they sit right now in 16th place. However, my concern for Frank Lampard is that he does not really have the time to turn this around. It is a case of right now we are plummeting towards relegation. Everton are not a championship club. Everton are a massive, massive club that should not be playing championship football. So Frank Lampard, if it doesn't start well for him, this could go really, really sour for the rest of Lampard's managerial career. So in terms of my concerns, it very much will rest on, I think, the first 7 or 8 games of Lampard's tenure as manager here. If he can sort Everton out, and let's be real, they've just signed Donny van der Beek, who I think it's mind-blowing how it's not worked for him at United, how he's not really been given too many chances. I think Van der Beek could be a quality player. I even think there is an element of potential Lampard in Donny van der Beek, that if he can unlock that during this loan spell, he can get rid of some of that dead wood in the Everton team that haven't been performing all season. And I think it is up to Lampard to manage some of the individual brilliance that is present in this Everton squad to drag them to safety. If Lampard manages to, let's not say resurrect this Everton season, because they're still not in the relegation zone right now. If he can improve their position, and he signed a 2.5-year contract, so if by the end of this season Everton can shoot, and I think this is feasible, they could potentially get 10th, I think, at the very best between now and the end of the season. If Lampard can push Everton to 10th, then I think in the summer, Frank Lampard will speak to the board. He'll say, look, listen, this policy you've had of transfers and all this money you've spent has not worked at this football club. Now, whether it's Van der Beek on a permanent deal in the summer, if that works, I think Lampard will also look to bring in Chelsea players. You've got the obvious ones where you could see another loan move for Billy Gilmour. Could you see Everton potentially go in for Christensen? Probably, but Christensen won't go. I don't think he'll leave for another Premier League club. There's also maybe talks of a Christian Pulisic potentially leaving Chelsea. Could he stay in the Premier League and go to Everton? Lampard was a big fan of Christian Pulisic. So I wanted to address that here in this video today. I think that Lampard at Everton, I think it will succeed because I think they've got too many good players in that club to get relegated. If they don't get relegated, Lampard keeps them up and shoots them up the table a little bit, then the first 6 months or so of this managerial reign will be considered a success in the eyes of Everton and Frank Lampard. Can he get the best out of those players? I certainly think he can. I don't think at Chelsea it was necessarily a case of players just didn't want to play for him. I just simply think that Lampard's naivety as a young manager and lack of experience may have led to some of the players at Chelsea not quite believing in what they were being told to do. At this club right now at Everton, I think the solemn mood that it has been under Rafa Benitez is something that Lampard will immediately lift, and I think the young, youthful ideas of what Lampard brings to management could well be enough to see him succeed as Everton manager, a club who have gone through so many managers and are looking right now in such a perilous position. This is a big pressure job for Frank Lampard, but I think it is testament to who Frank Lampard is that he's gone and taken this job. Because I certainly feel as though he isn't a man who's going to shy away from a challenge. He took the Chelsea job as his second job in management. And I will say this now, as much as I want Thomas Tuchel to be Chelsea's manager for the very, very distant future, I still think one day Frank Lampard will be back at Chelsea, and this could be the job with an Everton team who have such high expectations but are so hugely underachieving for so long. Could this be the job that really puts Frank Lampard in the bracket of top managers, if he can indeed succeed? Let me know your thoughts on Lampard to Everton in the comments below. I know that there are some people saying that I'm an Everton fan now, I'm going to support Everton because it's Frank. No, we're Chelsea fans first and foremost, but it's perfectly okay to keep an eye out on Everton's fixtures in the hope that Frank Lampard can succeed. As long as it doesn't affect Chelsea, I don't mind. And as long as he doesn't take too many of our players, then I also don't mind. But maybe a few loans for some of the youngsters, especially a Billy Gilmore. That could be something that I would certainly endorse. But anyway, like I said at the beginning, if you haven't yet downloaded Ultimate Fan, link is in the description. Please download it. And also hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you are new. Let me know your thoughts on Lampard to Everton in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys later. Come on, you Blues.